This is the new Fujifilm X-Half Premium Compact Digital Camera. And today you are going to get a much closer look at it. Well, hi everyone and welcome to Pal to Tech. So Fujifilm took another step forward in the direction of retro with the release of this new camera. It's a very different one, all right, and it has some features that you're gonna love. I also think that this camera has a few features some of you may find a little weird, but fun. This camera right here is a pre-production testing unit. I do want to mention that Fujifilm did not sponsor this video. They were not involved in its creation at all. In fact, they had no idea what I was going to talk about, and they were not allowed to see this video until right now when it's been published for all of you. This is a small camera. It's 105.8 millimeters by 64.3 millimeters by 30 millimeters. And it weighs 240 grams. And that actually includes both the battery and the SD card. The camera comes in 3 colors: silver, black, and charcoal silver. This is the silver model. It has a 17.74 megapixel resolution 1-inch sensor. And this is the big thing here. It shoots 3x4 images in half-frame format. Thus the name half-frame. The lens cap does fit snugly over the lens. It doesn't screw on, it just kind of squeezes on, and it fits quite well. Actually, they give you 2 of these. And the lens itself is a fixed 10.8 millimeter wide angle, which translates to approximately 32 millimeters in 35 millimeter format. The camera uses a Blade 3-leaf mechanical shutter, and you can shoot a range of up to 1/2000th of a second or down to up to 15 minutes wide open. And the settings, for example, the self-timer, will be remembered when you turn the camera off and then back on again. There's 2 mechanical rings right on the lens. The first is the focus ring. I found it to be a bit smaller than what I was used to using on other Fujifilm cameras, that's for sure. But it does have a consistent and smooth feel to it. Right behind it is the aperture ring, which gives you a range from f2.8 down to f11 in 1/3 step increments. And I very much like that on the other side of the aperture ring, you have this little small grip right here as well. Here's what the aperture ring sounds like. Just above the lens, you have your viewfinder and autofocus illuminator. Also on the front of the camera is an LED video light. This light turns on automatically whenever the camera is put into video shooting mode. There is a dedicated light switch for on or off, and it's located on the left side of the camera. And just below that light switch is a small, thick rubber removable door that covers a USB-C port. That's it. There's no other port. In other words, no HDMI, microphone, or headphone port on the camera. But in the box, included with the camera, is a USB-C headphone jack adapter. And also in the box, you get a small black carrying strap with those usual adjustment tools. The top of the camera contains 2 microphones, and below that is a cold shoe mount with a little plastic cover. While the camera is solid for sure, and it feels nice, it is not like a GFX, okay? And I think it wouldn't be too difficult for something to snap this off and break it. So I would avoid putting anything heavy onto this. Now right here is a dedicated exposure compensation dial that feels the most similar to what you would see on a normal XT series camera. And the shutter release button is right in the center of it. There's also the on-off switch located right here, and something new called a frame advance lever. We'll talk about that in a moment. Now, I was not a huge fan of the placement of that on-off switch right here. And the reason is because I kept tripping it like this. I would go to rotate this, or I'd just kind of be like, whoops, boom. And it would just accidentally go either on or off. So make sure when you use this camera, you get used to actually being a little more gentle with your turn and not doing this kind of thing. You could do that on these ones. The back of the camera has this viewfinder right here, and there's nothing in it. I mean, when you look through it, nothing at all. Not a level, not a histogram, no indicator icons, zip. And in fact, when you look through this thing, you are partying like it's 1964. There's a tiny LED light to the left right here, And there's a sensor right here, so if you put the camera to your face to look through the viewfinder, it will automatically turn off the LCD screens. You can easily switch between stills and movie mode right here, and you play back your images with this. And right here, you've got a 2.4-inch, 0.92 million dot LCD touchscreen. This screen, however, is very reflective, okay? In fact, if you take this camera straight out of the box and you go outside in the bright sunlight, you're going to have a difficult time seeing this screen. And what I strongly recommend is you just go into the settings, right into screen setup. I would kick it up to 5 if I were you. And yeah, you'll use more battery power, but trust me, it'll be worth it. By the way, I want to say that the touchscreen capability on this camera, it's very responsive. I'm not a big fan of camera touchscreens, but this one, I love how they did it. And speaking of things that I love, on the left right here is a small vertical secondary screen that is designed to complement the main LCD screen. Yes, you can swipe up and down between film simulations, but that's not the only thing it's for. You can also tap on a film simulation and then, of course, go into the other settings and refine it. But what's great about it is that if you're in the menu, say you're in here, you can then use this to get to different sections of the menu, like image quality or your focus settings. Speaking of film simulations, the camera does come with 13 of them. Provia, Velvia, Astia, Classic Chrome, Reala Ace, Classic Negative, Nostalgic Negative, Eterna, Acros, and Sepia. Okay, another nice touch is sort of this Q menu that appears when you swipe up. I would love to go into all these settings and teach and show each one of them. We don't have the time, and I certainly don't have this camera long enough. I got to send it back today. I do want to say, though, regarding ergonomics, I think they did a stellar job on this camera, considering the size. I don't like small cameras. This is as small as I ever want to get. If you're right-handed and you're holding the camera like this, there is nothing right here. There is nothing right here, and there is nothing right there. When you have your fingers around it like this, you're not going to accidentally bump or touch any of the buttons. And still, while holding it, you can hit still, movie. It comes with a single NPW126S battery, and according to Fujifilm, you can get about 880 photos on a fully charged battery. Located just above the battery is a single UHS-1 SD card slot. Oh, and something else to be aware of. You can use a micro SD card if you want to. You just have to use one of these adapters, but it will definitely work. Here, I'll just prove it to you. Let's see if it's saved. There it is. And by the way, when you're playing back images, you've got a menu with other options. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, right next to the battery door is a tripod mount. And right here, I believe that's the speaker. In terms of image quality, we have this camera sitting right around between the INSTAX and perhaps an XT line, okay? Maybe a little closer to the XT. Also important to note that this camera shoots JPEG only, no RAW files. And at the highest quality setting, which is large, it will output a JPEG file that is up to 7,296 by 4,864 pixels. However, keep in mind that this camera shoots in vertical format in 3:4 aspect ratio. And a lot of it is designed to take two images and put them into one, okay? So if you're talking about a specific individual vertical image, the largest you'll get is 3,648 by 4,864 pixels. And what's interesting is the JPEGs that come out of this camera all vary in terms of file sizes. As low as less than 1 megabyte if you're shooting small and you're not applying a lot of effects to it. But then they can go almost up to 13 megs if you have, say, a bunch of different effects added, 2 into 1, and that sort of thing. When it comes to shooting images on here, you have basically two choices. Your straight up vertical format like this, or you have the 2-in-1 format that combines two separate photos or two separate videos, or one photo and one video into one image. Let me show you what I mean. To get started, we'll take our first photo right now. And there it is right here. And there's a number of ways you can do this, but the most common and probably easiest is after you've taken your first photo, pull this lever like that. And I don't know if you can see it, but there is now a white square. I've already done the one on the left. And here's the second. So what you do is you jump into the playback menu, and there you go. And as you can see, you still have your original single versions, right? You can also add a few effects like grain, and there's a portrait enhancer effect as well. Taking a quick look now at the lens quality. Here we are, opened all the way up to f2.8, zoomed into 100%, jumping to 200% in the corner, and there's definitely some softness, no doubt about that. In the center at 200, 300%, some additional softness here as well. Jumping to f4 definitely improves it a bit. Corner softness does look better. Here we are at f5.6, 300%, 200% in the corner, stopping the lens all the way down, going to that center again at 300%. Yeah, quite a bit softer there. Looking at the corner, 200%. I think f4 is a great place to be on this lens, probably your sweet spot. And another interesting thing is how much detail you can actually zoom in and see, okay? Check this out. Here is a photo pretty far back from the lake, okay? Zooming in to 100%, look at the water. Look at the quality of the background. Let's jump to 200%. This looks really good, and I was pretty far away with this camera. Look how far away I was. Same thing here, zooming into 100, 200, 300%. Look at the back of this bench. Let's jump back to where I shot it. Here we're at f2.8, and here's sort of the background you're going to get with that. Or you could throw it into toy camera and get this background. Here's toy camera, here's f2.8. We'll talk about filters in just one sec. In terms of highlight recovery or any kind of post-production fixes of that, forget about it, okay? For example, have a look at this right here. I am way overexposed. If I try and bring down the highlights, nothing. There's just nothing to work with. Same thing here. I'm about a third of a stop overexposed, but bringing down the highlights really doesn't give me much. In fact, nothing. The camera does shoot video and offers a movie mode of sorts, but it's quite limited. The highest bit rate you're going to get is 50 megabits per second, okay? Have a look at this right here. You've got the 50, the 20, and the 10. None of them are that great, to be honest with you. But interestingly, there are actually more options for audio than I would have expected given the limitations of the video. That, and also the fact that they threw in that headphone USB-C jack. So audio was important to the makers of this camera, which is always a good thing. By the way, the wind filter, here's what it sounds like. And the highest video that the camera can output is, I believe, 50 bits per second. We'll see how this turns out. And finally, I turned off the wind filter. It sounds much better with the wind filter off, so I would probably just keep it off all the time. Let's talk about autofocus on this camera for both stills and video. It has a dedicated section for autofocus, and what's great is that the settings can be customized depending upon whether you're shooting stills or video. For example, if you flip over to focus mode, you can toggle between these two and see the available options. Stills gives you single, continuous, and manual focus, while video mode only gives you manual focus and continuous autofocus. There is, however, face eye auto detect. I found that it works pretty good. I don't think it's up there with the X-T5, but it is available and it does work. In terms of your mode, for stills, you've got single point and area autofocus. For video, it's multi and area. Now, if I'm shooting people with this camera, I will definitely want to keep it in face eye auto detect. I think that's the best mode for it. However, if you're not shooting people, I think the best mode for stills, I found a lot of times area worked well. Same thing for video. And the reason why is because when you have it in area, I'll go ahead and put it in area here. When you tap the screen, look at that. You can sort of move the little green focus square around. If you're shooting in manual focus, you also have MF Assist. Go ahead and put it on red. And now when you rotate your focus ring, the area that is in focus turns that color red that you chose. Just like that. Perfect. I also recommend turning on AF Illuminator as well. Let's talk about the 3 very unique features that Fujifilm has built into this camera. The first is a choice of 26 separate filters. and a lot of them are inspired by analog photography. In fact, some of these filters were actually included in various INSTAX cameras in the past. They're easy enough to access, just swipe right and choose filter, and you'll see the little vertical screen right here has now changed, allowing you to choose one of the filters. Some of the filters have additional options that you use the larger LCD screen for, like that, for example. All right, so major disclaimer. I'm not a fan ever of filters. I never use them on the XT cameras. I don't like them, okay? But I had a lot of fun with these, number one. And number two, some of them actually work really well. Let me show you. So here's an example of exposed film. I don't know, it's ugly to me, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? However, have a look at this right here. This one is mirror, okay? And if you zoom in, it did a very good job. Look at that. Fisheye, nah. But look at double exposure. Kind of cool. And it's great because once you've taken your first photo in double exposure, it makes it about 50% transparent so that you can kind of see it as you're framing your second shot, which is how I knew to kind of put the Canadian geese up in the sky just above the background right here. Here's another example of mirror. Again, look at this. I thought it did an outstanding job of bringing these together. Now, light leak is one of the newer, more popular ones, and it's completely random, okay? Each shot that you take with light leak is going to leak the light in different areas of the image. Here's a few I shot with light leak right at the same time with the same settings. Boom, boom, boom. And you have no control at all over how the camera does this. Also keep in mind that there are no RAW files with this camera, so if you decide one day that this beautiful scenic shot, you don't really want the light leak anymore, you're out of luck. Again, I don't like filters. Most of them remind me of either Instagram or they remind me of what was before Instagram. Oh, Hipstamatic, right. That's what I think of when I think of filters. So yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen filters done right on a camera. They're easy to access, they're fast, and they look great. So good job, Fuji. Okay, so the second feature, and that is the dedicated app for this camera. It's very easy to connect the X-Half app to the camera. They did a great job of walking you through all of the permissions issues on iOS devices and so forth. Once connected, you can browse your galleries, easily transfer photos to your smartphone and share on social media, and a whole lot more. And I love how they actually get developed. Look at this. But check this out. If you zoom in to one of those film mode rolls, right? They even have it down to the curve of the film. It's perfect. And it'll connect right to an INSTAX Mini Link 2 printer if you want to print out your photos right from the app. Oh, I wanted to show you a print being made and I ran out of printer paper. There wasn't enough time to get another one for the video, but trust me, it would have printed. We now come to the third and final and my favorite feature by far, and that of course is the film camera mode. So the way you enable it is you swipe down from the top and you choose film camera mode. Now, it's already selected the film simulation that I had here, okay? If you wanted to change that, obviously, you would choose a different one. We'll go with Reala Ace. Swipe down, film camera mode, and it's pretty clear what it's telling you. It's going to act like there's a roll of film in here, okay? And if you take a roll of film out of a normal camera, a film camera, you can't put it back in and take pictures later on. Actually, you can. I could make a video on that, and I've done it. It was the biggest pain in the butt. You had to actually take the film out and put another roll in. Wouldn't wind it all the way, but there would be a problem, and then I never want to go back to those days. But for the most part, you can't. What happens is, if you take the SD card out of this thing halfway through it, it's over. You can't be in that film mode session anymore, okay? So go ahead and tap OK, and then you choose the number of shots. I'll choose 36. Now you have the option of including a date stamp, you know, that little ugly series of digital looking letters right here. Having the ability to put a date like burned into your photo used to be something people would forget and screw up and be very upset with when they got their photos back from the processing place, okay? I would have never in a million years imagined that that one day would be a toggle switch for a feature that someone would actually want. I used to get so mad if I accidentally forgot, and now, my photos of Peru have these ugly, numbers at the bottom. Now, apparently, people want this for some reason. They were just as ugly then as they are now, but hey, power to you. So we'll choose on, and at this point, I'm just going to hit start. You just get this. You don't get a preview. This tells you how many shots you have. You could choose auto or manual focus. You can turn on or off the date, which is good. And there's a few focus options here, but this doesn't change. This stays just like this. So now you just go out and you start shooting. And once you've taken your first shot, look, it changes. Now there's one shot taken, and you keep going through it until you end up finishing the roll of digital film, which in this case is 36 photos. At that point, you then transfer the files to the new Fuji app for this camera. And by the way, you cannot change film simulations. You see that? It's a roll of film now. Reala Ace. It's like we loaded that in here. That's it. And you're not even allowed to see your images. If you try and hit play, nothing happens. And now we come to something that I think is going to cause the most confusion. It's the most interesting, and there's a suggestion I have for improvement. Notice how we just shot one photo. You see that right there? So now I'm going to take another photo. It's not working. Something's wrong. What is wrong here? I can't take the photo. No need to send this back to Fujifilm via New Jersey, okay? It's not broken. It's just a little weird. What you have to do in order to take the next photo, you go like this. That's it. And the flashing thing stops and you take your photo. Now I'm at 2. Again, if I try and take another photo, nope, it flashes, denied. I have to remember to wind it like that. Part of me loves this and part of me thinks it's kind of ridiculous. So here's my suggestion, Fuji. It's just moving a lever, that's all it is. Whereas on a film camera, you feel it moving the film. I mean, it has a feel to it and it makes this distinct sound of the film moving. Firmware update, you could add that. Something like that where it sounds like you're advancing the film. Having a little bit of audio in there would really add to the realism. I mean, why stop here? Let's go the full way, okay? All of that being said, for me personally, and I debated putting this in the video, but I will. I have never been a fan of the vertical format, okay? Heaven for me is the Cinerama Dome. It's Lawrence of Arabia all the way across. It's CinemaScope. That's what I personally like. Not a big fan of vertical. However, if you like vertical and you do not mind that aspect ratio, then you should check out this very fun, extremely easy to use, yet creatively complex addition to Fujifilm's lineup. I think that the best feature on this camera is that film camera mode, and I love how the camera behaves when it's stripped away of all its options and you are forced to shoot like it has a roll of film inside of it. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you found the video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I will see you in a new video very soon. Take care. Well, there goes a pack of film. Whoops. Sacrifice the film to make this video. I hope you like it.